Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us. We are back with our August edition of What Are You Reading? I duck under here so my head doesn't get cut off by our logo up here. It's a smaller group today. It's just myself and Chris, the Fenton librarian, and Nancy, the Montrose librarian. But we're going to talk about some of the books that they've been reading and what they'd recommend, what they've enjoyed. How are you doing, Chris and Nancy?
Doing good today. Busy day start up.
All right. Well, we had a theme this month, which was our beach read theme. And so maybe talk about some beach reads and maybe talk about what makes a beach read, which really could be anything, right? It's whatever really you want to read at the beach. But let's we'll talk about that first, maybe, and see what other books we've been reading, what we've been enjoying. If you are watching us from home right now, please feel free to leave a comment, whether you're watching us on YouTube or on our website or on Facebook. Let us know your thoughts in the comments about what we're talking about, or just maybe what you're reading, what you've been into. All right, with that, we can get started. Chris, do you want to start us off and go first?
Sure. So I selected something that's probably a non-kind of traditional beach read, and I picked the What's on the Beach, a Great Lakes Treasure Hunt. Cute little book by Mary Bloxma. It's the perfect companion to take to the beach for beachcombing. Each page gives a detailed description of what you might find at the beach. It covers birds, types of sand, wild grasses, insects. One page covers animal tracks. Another page covers rocks. I thought this book would also be good to take along to a wildlife refuge because it talks a little bit about toads and turtles, and it tells you, I guess there's a difference between gulls and terns, which I didn't really realize, but 2-page spread on telling the difference and the different kinds of gulls that are out there. And I know when you ever go to the beach, you always see lots of birds, so it covers all the birds and butterflies. It's a really great little book. Mary Bloxma is a Michigan author, and she's written 4 other books celebrating the Great Lakes. So I kind of wanted to feature that today to highlight one of our Michigan authors.
There we go. Do you want to show us the inside a little bit?
Sure.
I'll make your screen big.
So here's the page on the turtle. Let me see. I got it. Oops, go this way a little bit. And there's a whole section on is it sedge or is it grass? Is it a cattail or is it a horsetail? Dragonfly or damselfly. So
that's really neat.
Yeah, it's really, really awesome. I liked it so much. And then at the back, it also tells you it tells you on the front some different islands and beaches and stuff to go to in Michigan over here on this side. And then in the back, it tells, what you should look for while you're out there and in which beaches you might find it at.
That's really neat, too, that it's not just a guide to generic beaches, but it's the specific to us here in Michigan.
Yeah. And that's what I thought was super cute about it. I'm not much of a romance reader, so that's kind of what I think of on a beach read. So that's why I kind of wanted to go with something a little bit different.
I think that's a really neat example. That's really cool. All right. Thank you, Chris. Nancy, what do you want to talk about first?
I think all 3 of my books today could be considered beach reads. How I interpreted it was a book that's not too heavy, probably fiction, something you can just sit down, sink into your chair, forget that it's hot, get your tan going. You have to spend hours out in the sun to get your tan going. So something that you can get totally absorbed in and just read for hours. something that's not too heavy. So all three of mine were like that this month. And I guess I could start with The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I don't know if we ever talked about this one before. I didn't have it in any of my month folders, so I don't think I've personally talked about it before. It came out in June of 2017 by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and it got a lot of buzz if you look at social media, and it's on Book Talk a lot right now still. It starts out as a journalist wants to interview Evelyn Hugo. Evelyn Hugo asks for this journalist by name, and she begins her interview, and that's basically the whole book, and it ends up being a husband per chapter, and it's totally riveting. I thought it was maybe patterned after Marilyn Monroe. It reminded me of that. She's an old world blonde, and she wants to write her memoir. She wants someone to help her write her memoirs before she dies. And I couldn't put it down. I think I read it in 2 days. So it was a good one. It's kind of spicy, a lot of romance, a little bit of spicy in there, a little bit of intrigue and mystery, but not, nothing too heavy.
How did you come across this book? You always kind of, I feel like, read a variety of different types of books.
This was a patron said, read this. This is really good. I see a lot of books at the desk. When they come across the desk, I always read the synopsis to see. That's where I get a lot of my reads. But she, as she turned it in, said, make sure you read this. It's a good one.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Nancy. And Chris, what is your next book you read?
The next one I'm going to talk about is A Mirror Mended by Alex E. Harrow. It is book 2 in the Fractured Fables series. So it's another story of Zinnia Gray, who is a lapsed sleeping beauty who travels in and out of fairy tales in alternate dimensions. She tries to fix what's broken. So in the second installment, Snow White's evil queen is desperate to change her narrative and wants Zinnia to help her. Snow White's evil queen is a nameless villain. So Zin gives her a name as they try to find a new narrative for the evil queen. I really enjoy what Harrow does with these little novellas. Zin has a strong feminist voice and narrative. But in this particular book, I didn't really love the storyline and the direction of the story that it took. I guess partially because it had moments of what I considered descriptive terror that could cause potential readers anxious imagery, especially if you were prone to be scared of the evil witch. So, yeah. I did appreciate that the author gave a nice nod to the TV series The Good Place in the book, though. So
that's a reference I like that too. Now you have me interested. You talked about the first book in the series, I think, on here before, haven't you?
I did, yeah.
I think you really liked that one.
I did. Mm-hmm.
I
think the reason why this one I didn't like as much is because of the whole kind of what I call descriptive terror. There were some parts that were like, I don't know if I want to be reading this.
I like that in like movies and TVs I watch. I like, it's kind of weird, but I like going to a movie and feeling really anxious about it afterwards if it really stressed me out. I don't like that in books so much because I feel like it's gets in my reading it and it's in my head, right? And it's hard to like walk away from it at that point. It really, to me, it kind of stays with me, and it's a lot more stressful. Where a movie, I'm like, well, that was fun. Now I can, I can walk away and it doesn't bother me anymore. But in a book, it's different when it's living in your head. So I can understand that.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Nancy, what do you want to talk about next?
Here's another light read. It is called The House on Trad Street. 2008. So it's an older one. One of our pages, Karen, suggested this series to me. I'm not sure how many books. There's quite a few books in this series. And I read the first one, and I just loved it. Melanie is a realtor, and she has a very cold, austere apartment. It's all done in like chrome and glass. And she wants to try to sell this house on Trad Street, which is an old Victorian, has a lot of secrets. There's a rumor that Confederate treasures somewhere on the property. And she meets a handsome gentleman who's trying to hang around the house. And it ends up that he's treasure hunting also. He's heard the rumors as well. There's a little bit of romance there with her and another person in the story. There's a dog. There's a housekeeper. It's a very light mystery. It's almost like a cozy mystery. And I would consider it a beach read also. But I only read the first book. It didn't take very long at all. And I'm planning on reading the rest. I'll have to get back to that series. Oh, and it's a ghost story as well. There's a ghost in the story.
Ooh, normally, if there's a ghost in the story, it's something you lead with, right?
I was going to say, oops, I forgot that part. There's a ghost in the story. And as a child, she's always been able to see ghosts from childhood on.
So there's like a supernatural element to it.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Thanks, Nancy. And Chris, what's the third book you want to talk about?
Okay, so I saved the best for last. I want to talk about Ashton Hall by Lauren Belfer. This is the story of Hannah and her son Nicky, who traveled to England to visit a close relative. They planned to spend the summer there with the relative at Ashton Hall, which is an English manor located just outside of Cambridge. Hannah has left her husband behind as she recently discovered information about him indicating a betrayal. So she's going to England to kind of try to help find herself. So in England, she plans to finish her dissertation and to continue working at her job where she finds artistic pieces to go on, like shopping bags and mugs and stuff like that. So she only works part-time. And so she's going to spend her time in England trying to figure out what to do with her life, how to deal with her husband, how to get this dissertation finished and work and provide a future for her son. So in the meantime, her son, Nicky, who I think is like a preteen, he's on the spectrum. Well, he discovers a corpse in a hidden room in this manor. So all the characters in the story then begin hunting for clues about this mystery skeleton. I don't want to give away too much about the skeleton that they find and where they find it and how they find it, because that's really a part of the story. But I so really enjoyed this book that I think it might be my number one choice for 2022. Written as a modern day story, it relates the historical story of Ashton Hall with beautifully described scenery and architecture. And we also get the narrative of life in the manor in the 1500s. So it's just a really wonderful blend of modern and historical that I think the author did a fantastic job presenting both stories in a way for the reader to really enjoy it. So I think this would be a great book club book. If you run a book club or if you're in a book club, I would strongly recommend this one.
What are your other contenders for 2022? Is there anything close to this, or is this kind of like far out in the lead?
Let me look at my list real quick, because I do.
Okay.
Well, if I did read Gregor the Overlander, and I also thought that was fantastic. I think I talked about that. So that would be, but that's a junior fiction. So I don't know if that's fair to put it in contention, I don't know if I actually have another. I think I talked about that, As Bright as Heaven, last month, about the 1919 Spanish flu. But I think Ashton Hall is better, way better.
Well, there you go. All right. Nancy, what is your last book?
I wanted to say first, I think my favorite in 2022 was probably The Firekeeper's Daughter.
Okay.
The Michigan, it was one of the Michigan reads. And also, I got a big tip from a school librarian. This title is by the same author. It continues the story, Warrior Girl Unearthed, coming out May 2023. So I'm excited. I've got that written down. I can't order it from Ingram yet, so keep my eye out for that one. I read the second in a series. I read The Bookwoman's Daughter.
Oh.
And the series is The Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek. We have been waiting for this book to come out for so long, and it finally came out. And I think I read this one in a couple days too. Back in the 1800s, these are the famed women who live in Kentucky that have blue skin. And there's a scientific reason for it. There's a medication they can take where the blue skin will go away, but it's very risky to do that. There are some health concerns related to that drug. And they're kind of ostracized. In fact, the Bookwoman's Daughter, who this story is about, she's the last blue woman besides her mom in this area of Kentucky. And they are packhorse librarians. And this is such a charming story. It's about all their struggles. You really get a feeling of what it is to be an Appalachian. And it's kind of a Little House on the Prairie setting. And her and her mother both are fighting hard, both because of their race and also to be librarians back then and to be women who are working. Some of the Appalachians say, my family don't need no book learning. They need to do their chores. It's kind of that type of an environment. So it's really hard to promote literacy in that area. And, something that we just take for granted, and also our profession, it just lets you see what a hardship it was back then. So just a really engrossing story. And it came out in May, so you'll be able to get it on the shelf now. Pretty sure you can. And for sure the first one. So start with the first one, definitely. But this was a really good series. And she wrapped the story up. I'm not sure that there'll be a third one. I'm not sure. She could probably keep the story going on, but I felt like it was a good wrap up.
Did it live up to your expectations then? Was it everything you wanted it to be?
Yep, it was wonderful. Yep.
I want to read a comment really quick. Charmin said on Facebook that they loved The Firekeeper's Daughter and they're excited for Warrior Girl. They said, my favorite in 2022 has been Lessons in Chemistry. Have either of you read that?
Oh, yeah. The orange cover. I haven't read that yet. Yep.
I'm trying to get a picture of it up here if you 1 second. You know anything about it, Nancy?
I don't. I've seen it pass across my desk. It's on my list.
Did Kristen read that?
She might have. Yeah, she might have.
It sounds familiar.
Last week or last month?
Let's see if it's.
Me here. I've got a picture. I'll bring it up. I asked Charmin too if they'll reply and let us know what they liked about it, but it looks like a book Kristen would read. There it is.
Bad, but they didn't mark it in Goodreads, so I can't confirm.
Okay. Well,
seems like she did talk about
that's
that.
Interesting. I always like it when the people who are watching and let us know what they've been up to, what they've been reading, and what they suggest. So we are glad that you liked Lessons in Chemistry and you liked The Firekeeper's Daughter as well. Hopefully, a Warrior Girl, when that comes out, that'll live up to all of our expectations as well.
Yeah, I just want to add too that the Gregor the Overlander, I did read book 2. I didn't think I was going to get to it as fast as I did because I'm not usually a huge series reader, but my son and my daughter are also reading it, and I thought book 2 was just as amazing, if not better than book 1. So if you've got kids out there that are like 4th grade to 7th grade, I strongly recommend this series. It's really wonderful.
I've recommended that from the desk a couple times. Everyone's read Rick Riordan, Percy Jackson, and they're looking for something similar.
It's really good. I'm
Mhm.
liking it a lot.
I wanted to ask you, Chris, A Mirror Mended, was that the same author as A Spindle Splintered?
It is, yes. Yeah.
Okay, we read that one for book club. All right, I'm going to get A Mirror Mended. I'm sure it'll be great.
All right. That's the hard part, is then we start just reading the books that we've talked about here, and then we've only ever read the same books, and we have to go around and. But hey, that means that it's a good recommendation then.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, that's our show today. A little shorter than normal, but that's all right. We hope you enjoyed this and maybe found a book or two you'd be interested in checking out. Something else I'll just plug right before we go to is, if you want more book recommendations, you can go to thegdl.org/recommends, and I will put that on the screen here, and I'll put that in the chat. If you go there, you can enter your email address and you can check out a list of different genres of books that you like. And then every month around the 15th, you'll get a personalized kind of list of recommendations of new books in our collection that meet those genres, but you'll never be recommended the same thing twice. So the more you get, you'll get further and further into our catalog, and you can request books very easily from there as well. So take a look at that. One last thing before we go to, as Charmin said, that what they liked about Lessons in Chemistry was the quirky lead character that had an interesting life. And I also said that I have A Mirror Mended checked out right now. So that's really cool. We hope you enjoy that. All right. With that being said, we'll head out for now, and we'll be back next month. And we hope that you'll join us. And until then, we hope you have a nice day. Take care. Bye.
See you later.